They never actually put time and effort into Derek. Instead, they decided to put all their time and effort into Ashley. And a lot of you in the comments agree with me that you wish it was Ashley that was dead instead of Derek. So we see how that paid off for the writers and the producers of the show, putting way too many eggs in Ashley's basket instead of Derek's. Hello, fellow Beyond the Gates viewers. Happy Sunday. Here for my preview of this upcoming week of the show. Although there is not an episode tomorrow, the show will not be back until Tuesday, so we will have to wait for the aftermath of our actual Friday cliffhanger come Tuesday. Last week overall, much better than usual. At least we had one great episode. I thought Tuesday's episode was great. I thought the episode before and the episode after it was good enough. Unfortunately, Thursday and Friday kind of felt like back to usual. Boring and not so good writing, focusing on characters the vast majority of the audience don't want to watch. Ashley. So we'll see how this next week goes with only 4 episodes. Let's look at the video preview first. First, we have Kat walking in on Anita and Vernon making out on the couch. Anita just went through her cancer battle, and Vernon was by her side the whole time. And I think it's only fitting that after all of that, they do want to start getting frisky with each other again. Now, Kat walking in because she now lives with them. This is why it's hard to live with your grandparents, I guess. So I guess Kat is going to have to learn that lesson. But I think that's probably just going to be a fun little moment in one of the episodes. Up next in the preview is Deanna talking with Doug. She asks if this is real. He says, "Are you going to stare or come see for yourself?" I discussed this with Friday's review that I don't feel like this is real. It feels so odd. Just Doug's appearing at the country club and being weird about it when, you'd think he would want to be more loving towards his daughter who thinks he is dead. It seems like it's probably a fantasy. There's a lot of speculation that maybe it is a fantasy. Maybe she's seeing things. Maybe she's on drugs. Maybe she's kind of crazy. Is Doug's return going to be a long-term thing where she is just seeing visions of her father? I don't love that idea, I'm going to be honest. I think that is the scenario I would like the least, because all that means is it's going to be Deanna going crazy, seeing her dad being right about Joey the whole time, but she's going to look like she's crazy. And that just means that this entire summer is going to be another stretch of months where we have to have Joey and Vanessa having the same conversations because nobody believes Deanna because she's crazy. That is not something I really want to see. In fact, that sounds like hell to watch. Maybe they could write it in a way where the audience, we don't know if Deanna is really seeing Doug or not. Maybe he is real. Maybe he's not real. That could at least make that a little better to watch. I think that's a really hard thing to write, though. And I don't have the faith in these 2 writers to actually be able to pull that off. Maybe this is just a vision and Doug actually really is still alive too. Both things could actually be true, or maybe that is just hopeful thinking because Doug being alive is the only thing that could really save the terrible Joey and Trash storyline. But I don't know. That is what we are going to find out this next week. That should be on Tuesday. So right away into the next week, we're going to see if this Doug stuff is actually interesting or not. And I really do feel like the show needs it to be interesting. Next in the preview is Martin telling Tyrell that they can talk about anything, and Tyrell asks even sex. So we're getting some follow-up with Tyrell and Jessica having sex here, but it seems like it's without Jessica. And I think that's an issue. I think Jessica and her parents were the more interesting part of the entire cotillion, actually. I think it made Jessica and Tyrell's relationship more interesting. I think it made Jessica more understandable as a character and why she is the way that she is. That was a good step, but we need the follow-up. We need the consistency. with these younger characters. So while I'm glad we seem to be getting some follow-up for Tyrell here after that, will there be follow-up with Jessica too? Or are we going to have to wait weeks to get back to the younger set of characters when I think they could actually become more of a focal point? Because they have good younger characters right now. It's being squandered, and we're stuck watching Ashley and fucking Vanessa all the time. And Nicole, for that matter. Thumbs down. Speaking of Nicole, she's in the preview next. Nicole seems upset that Ted told the board at the hospital that she would be an excellent chief of staff. We did see Ted on Friday trying to tell Anita and Vernon that he thinks Nicole should be the new chief of staff. Well, it looks like Nicole is not going to like that idea. I don't know why. Maybe it's just too much for her. Maybe she doesn't actually want the position. That's always a possibility. Maybe it's just to cause more tension between Nicole and Ted. Or will Nicole start fantasizing about Ted again? I don't know, but I am not really, into watching Nicole's love life on this show. I don't think they have done a great job with it. Last, we see Leslie accusing Hayley of playing the long game. Hayley is making some Phaedra Parks-like faces saying she is not playing anything. And then Leslie says, you just haven't gotten caught yet. For a long time on the show, they've been trying to have Leslie trying to befriend Hayley, and Hayley always turns it down. Is this just going to be rinse and repeat there? Because they've done that like 4 or 5 times since the show started, and it's gone nowhere in 15 months. And so I don't want to see a repeat of that kind of scene where Leslie's trying to befriend Hayley and Hayley's just turning her down again. Because we've seen that already. Anytime they've tried to do this storyline. I could see Leslie coming on as another distraction for Hayley's storyline since Lynette's nowhere to be found. Maybe making it more interesting. But, in the preview, from what I've read, there's going to be a lot of Leslie next week. And the Leslie haters are not going to be happy with that. I think Leslie's going to be making Derek's death about herself, making it about the free clinic. And then she's going to have these scenes with Hayley. So we are going to see a lot of Leslie. We are also going to have Derek's memorial or the aftermath of his funeral. Either way, there's going to be more Derek grieving, which means probably more Ashley. Not my favorite thing, but let me get to some of y'all's comments. I do want to shout out the recap auntie. Company Confidential let me know that she shouted me out on Thursday. I want to shout her out too. I think she does an excellent Jacob whisper voice, which cracks me up every time she does it. And I think that she also has genuine opinions on the show. She keeps it real, which is what I like to do. I think a lot of reviewers are afraid to actually give their opinions, or they give it in a cookie cutter way because a lot of the audience just wants to hear positive things about some shows, especially soap opera audience. I feel like a lot of soap opera audience wants you to like everything happening on the soap opera, even though it's terrible writing most of the time. But I think she keeps it real, so I think you all should go check out her channel too if you want some extra reviews to Beyond the Gates, beyond my little reviews, because I keep my reviews short. She gives some more detailed reviews. All right, let's get to y'all's comments. Terry Classic said, Ashley breaks up with Derek because he lied about being able to walk. Grayson lies to her about his illegal activities and puts her life in danger, but she doesn't have a problem with this and agrees to be his mother's power of attorney. Somebody make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. That's been the problem I've had with Grayson and Ashley for weeks now. Their entire storyline has been so overdramatic and has moved way too quickly that it's stupid. Like, on one hand, this show wants most of their storylines to last 15 months with no payoffs. But then for Ashley and Grayson, we're going to have it move so fast in a week or 3 weeks that it doesn't make any sense. Plus, yeah, it's hard to like the Ashley character because of how things went with her and Derek. And now we have to see her grieve Derek as if she really loved the guy. It's hard to take. It's hard to watch. It's not something I think most of us are enjoying watching. Catressa Vibes says, Bill just now pressing Hayley for information is ridiculous. What big time attorney doesn't know anything about his wife? I thought that was stupid too. Bill's been married to Hayley for a year, and now is the time he's pressing her about her past. Doesn't make sense. It's Yvette says, I also liked June's hair better before Eva did it. The second hairstyle made her look older. It did. Although I feel like that's what the show tries to do with June. They want her to look older because she has the 17 and 18-year-old kids in Samantha and Tyrell. So I feel like they try to make her look older than she actually is. Just like Peaches, who we haven't seen much of. ATC says, yesterday I really heard Jacob's so-called accent. I was like, what is this? He sounded so phony. Yeah, Jacob's street accent got worse and worse as the storyline went along. Like those last few episodes when he was still undercover, I feel like it was truly just getting worse. It was so laughable. Thankfully, at least that part of the Impaler storyline is over. We still don't know who the Impaler is, but at least Jacob shouldn't be undercover anymore. Lamont Bradford says, finally a great episode. This is regarding Tuesday's episode. Lamont said, I wish they keep it up. I hope they heard our complaints for the last few months. I have my doubts they're going to be able to keep it up, but if they would just, choose a storyline to actually move along, maybe we could have more excitement coming our way. Curly K said, Derek pissed me off showing up at the warehouse. Yeah, he should piss himself off for doing that. They stood true to Derek kind of being a dumb character in the end, honestly. Devin said, holy freaking episode, didn't even need to be stoned for this one to be awesome. Tuesday's episode really was good. It's too bad as the week went on they couldn't at least keep up half of that momentum, because honestly Thursday and Friday I was wishing I was stoned while watching those episodes. Caribou said, so agree, it was a great episode. I'm beginning to get interested again. Production has been screwing Derek. They dropped him from contract in December and put him on recurring. This was done after his first year of being given terrible storylines. They will probably kill him off. And they did kill him off. And I agree with you. They never actually put time and effort into Derek. Instead, they decided to put all their time and effort into Ashley. And a lot of you in the comments agree with me that you wish it was Ashley that was dead instead of Derek. So we see how that paid off for the writers and the producers of the show, putting way too many eggs in Ashley's basket instead of Derek's. Hemi said, I recorded today's episode to watch later, but hit the delete button instead. I'm not about to suffer through Ashley's grieving process and everyone coming over to comfort her and yada yada. All I gotta say is good luck to Ben Gavin. Looks like he's already starring in another TV series, and hopefully for him it does well. Yeah, I hope Ben Gavin finds more work out there. But yeah, I mean, sucks for Ben to be out of a job, but it does seem like he's already has other work, so that's good. Ed the Bank said, Derek did die a hero, so it's true to the character. I mean, I will say it was true to the character in the end for Derek. He died a hero, and he died still dumb, So I guess they really did stay true to the character. Phoenix Rising said, I'm upset that they unalived Derek. I was finally enjoying the friction between him and Leslie. So funny. Now I guess Eva will have to leave Ted to manage the free clinic. And even more bad news, we are stuck with the emotionless lack of chemistry between Ashley and Grayson. Oh my God. So right here, Phoenix. I cannot stand Ashley and Grayson now. They decided in the final weeks of this Impaler Undercover storyline to make Grayson and Ashley the main part of the story. And I think it backfired because I'm just left hating both of them. And I've never thought they've actually had chemistry. I think Grayson has tried. And I think with Ashley, it's still as blah as ever. And let me also say this, because I don't know if it's because of CBS and Paramount, or it's actually the writers and producers of the show that seem to really want to make some of the white characters more prominent in year 2 of this show that's supposed to be the black soap opera. As a part of the whites, I think if they have to do it, and I assume if I had to make a guess, it's because of CBS and Paramount. So if they really wanted to push some white characters, they got to do a better job of writing them because the white women on this show suck so much. They're so hard to watch and they take up too much screen time to be so unlikable and so unwatchable. Vanessa and Ashley truly suck as characters. And so if they have to push some white woman characters on the show, why not, look to past soap operas for inspiration? If you want them to be a good character, write them more like Marlena Evans on Days of Our Lives, a well-rounded character. Or if they're supposed to be more on the vicious side, can we get some like Barbara Ryan from As the World Turns? Because I feel like they want Vanessa to be more of a villain, but they write her as pathetic and up Joey's ass all the time. And while Barbara Ryan had her patheticness to her, she still had extra motivation outside of men that made her loony. And more importantly, she gave a damn about her children. They have written Vanessa so one note that she only cares about Joey over her children, over seemingly everything in her life. And it's like she's irredeemable at this point. So if they have to push white characters, why not at least make them watchable? Anyways, Pulse Graves said, Leah is now a huge liability to those in the plasma ring. Anyone seriously thinks she will live long enough now to give the police any names of higher-ups there in exchange for immunity? I am not looking forward to seeing scenes with Leslie, who will use Derek's death to try and get Eva to quit working for Ted and run the clinic. Yeah, Pulse Graves, you're going to see a lot of Leslie next week, I fear. As for Leah, it just seems like she's not going to talk. Or she's saying she doesn't actually know the Impaler, which I kind of believe. I think maybe whoever the Impaler actually is keeps that identity hidden from almost everyone that works for them, maybe. Doc Backhand said, still a decent episode today. This was Wednesday or Thursday probably, with the McBride twins being critical to Platinum Debreville. Jessica's point of view of anti-Cotillion makes sense now as more anti her parents. It was consistent with Derek's impulsive character for him to jump in front of Jacob. Now he's a martyr with Shanice and Ashley in tears. Yeah, like I said, I like that we got more of Jessica's point of view. I think more of it is actually needed so that Jessica and Tyrell could actually be a strong, younger couple on this show. Derek was still impulsive. I don't have it saved in my notes of who commented about Shanice doing some of the best acting this past week to grieve Derek, but I agree. Shanice did the best grieving by far. On the first day, it was very subtle, and I think she does a way better job of, the subtle emotions compared to Ashley trying her best to squeeze tears out. And I don't even think they trust giving Jacob any emotions with this storyline, apparently, since he hasn't grieved Derek yet at all. Treegy said, I wanted Grayson gone. I too would have taken Grayson dying over Derek. The show just gave themselves a new conundrum. They had the conundrum of how can we make Derek and Ashley more, appetizing to the audience. Well, they decided to push Ashley down our throats instead of Derek. We've come to like Derek more since the end of last year. They decided to kill Derek off. Now I feel like they have the same conundrum with Grayson. And there will be the people that say they like Grayson, but really they're attracted to Grayson. That's what I see in the comments a lot. I feel like they think that Grayson is hotter than Derek, so they're like, oh, Ashley and Grayson can be together because we like that. Maybe they look good together. If you say so, but they're definitely not great for my eyes or my ears when I have to watch their scenes. So I think there's still a lot of us who are now going to have to see how can they fix Grayson. And frankly, I don't want to sit through that again because we already did that with Ashley and Derek the first year. Money Magnet Manifest said, Ashley's character is so unlikable. I don't think Jacob has enough emotional range to grieve Derek's death. I agree 100% with what this person is saying. They also said, and Grayson keeping his job is so far-fetched. When you work for a hospital, there are all these HR trainings around compliance and fraud and see something, say something. Ain't no way a hospital is going to allow a lab tech stealing plasma to retain his job. Amazing points. This is also why the Grayson character now sucks, because I feel like they've went so over the top to try and make him more interesting, getting stabbed, bleeding everywhere, but able to walk around everywhere. But now it's like it's heavy-handed writing because now they want to be like, well, Grayson's actually not a bad dude. He was stealing all this plasma on his job. He was really fucking up at his job, but he gets to keep his job because he was doing it for his mama. It's heavy-handed, and that's why it's not working for most people. Amin Mohammed said, hopefully I'm saying that right, Amin said, man, I will say it again, you are so real and raw, I love it, thank you. I try, I'm not gonna review all these things on my channel if I'm not gonna be honest, so I'm glad there are those of you that appreciate my raw opinions, because that's what I give. I get on here after every episode and give my raw opinions. Sometimes it's very ranty, but I say it's good when it's good. Tuesday's episode was great. Dupree Richardson said, I wish they had gotten rid of Ashley over Derek. Derek was a more useful character and a blank canvas. You're right, they needed to give Jacob some throwaway scenes that he's still processing losing his best friend, or have him stare off into flashbacks. Yes to both of those points. You're one of many that said in the comments this week that you wish they'd gotten rid of Ashley over Derek, and I agree. And as for Jacob, I just find it so weird that they haven't given any scenes since Derek died, jumping in front of him to have Jacob, talk about it, feel some kind of way. Instead of two straight episodes of Ashley, who we saw never actually gave a shit about Derek, it doesn't make sense. I don't know who makes decisions on this show, but they gotta get better at it. D-Smee said, I am tired of Ashley and all over the place confused emotions. I mean, yeah, you could have stopped it tired of Ashley. Janice Shields says, the biggest fake and phony grieving breakdown. Ashley did everything in her power to get rid of Derek because she thought she was going to get with Andre. Yeah, that's what we saw with our own eyes. Yet they're trying to rewrite it right now when it comes to that whole situation. Harriet Smallwood says, sadly, I don't think that Doug's back from the dead, but I'm still holding some hope that he is still alive. Yeah, that's what I was feeling on the end of Friday's episode, that it's a fantasy, or even worse, a ghost. But maybe in the end, Doug will still be alive. Who knows? One more comment before I gotta go. Ali Bordeaux said, I don't understand why the writers are putting so much focus on Ashley grieving over Derek after the way she treated Derek for lying to her. I never felt that Ashley actually loved Derek because she would get annoyed at almost everything he did. Exactly, it doesn't make sense. There's a total disconnect over these grieving scenes for Ashley coming after everything we saw for a year. Ali also said she was lusting after Andre, ran right after breaking up with Derek, and slept with Grayson on the first date. I am so over Ashley. I would have preferred she was the one that died. One of many that said that this week. Ali Bordeaux also said, I do agree with you that Nicole has not been supportive or a good mother to Kat. I felt that Danny has been more supportive of Kat. Nicole has a better relationship with her son than Kat. Please, writers, no on putting Ted and Nicole together. I agree with this whole comment. They write Nicole very, very, very cold with Kat, who's supposed to be her miracle baby. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense the way they write Nicole and Kat's relationship, who's supposed to be her miracle baby. I also don't want Ted and Nicole back together at this moment. I'm not against it in the long run, but they need to have a better story to tell if they are going to find their way back together. And I don't think Nicole just having these sexual fantasies of Ted because she's currently Nick Ho is the way to really get my interest in that. But I will see you all again on Tuesday when this show starts back up.